Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob, and welcome back to Rob the Mic. And thank you for tuning in to episode 11. And I also have to start the episode with thanking every single one of you for tuning into episode 10, either listening or watching. I appreciate you guys, especially the watchers. It was something new. I'm still trying to figure everything out, and hopefully that episode, it went well. I mean, I feel like it went pretty well. It was a trip, the whole playing the game and seeing what was going to come up question wise. Because again, I know a lot of you guys couldn't really see, but I had the box in front of me and I didn't know what questions I was going to get. Some of them were a little deeper than others. And that's kind of how I was hoping it would go. Some things would be lighter, some things would be heavier. But I feel like overall it was fun. And I'm glad I got to share that with you guys. So thank you. Thank you for giving me your time, your love, everything. And thank you for all the reposting and the DMs, all of that. Like, it means the world, you guys. So for today's episode, we're going to jump back to something a little more topic based. And I was trying to think of what to do, what to talk about, because I feel like there's so many ways that we can go now. And I feel like it is a little bit different now that I'm looking at you guys and doing this whole video portion versus just being on the mic. But I wanted something, not that went off of the questions from last week, but I'm not going to lie. The question did get me thinking a certain way. So with that being said, the things that I want to discuss with you guys today, one of them is being selfish with your time and your energy and how important that is. The second thing is how with something gained, something will be given. So basically, when you get something, in order to get that one thing, you're going to have to sacrifice something. And I guess like a realization that I've come to regarding that. And I feel like it's pretty important and I should probably talk about it at this point in time because it's something I can put off to go a little bit further out, but I'd rather talk about it now and then maybe come back to it in the future as well. And then shift in belief / thought pattern, because I feel like for myself, and I'm not talking about religion specifically, I'm just talking about, I guess, more of like a general sense that like things have kind of changed for me and my thought processes and things like that. And I wanted to share that with you guys. And then the last one is regarding like being real online and people who like fake the funk, because that's also something that I'm feeling like I need to talk about, because especially now with this video portion, and for a lot of you guys who know me, and of course a lot of you who don't, you're getting to know me, and as you listen and now watch the podcast, you're going to get to see that sort of progression. But for those of you, the select few who know me, who watch this and who listen to this, you will realize, of course, like that there's no difference. And I try to keep that as best as I can, because my main thing about this whole project is to stay as real as I can with you guys, with everything. It's the same way like I've always done it with the audio, the same way I'm going to do it with this video. Nothing gets cut out. Everything's real. Everything's raw. And it's the best way, because this is something that I'm trying to be vulnerable with you guys, right? And that was one of the questions in the game last week is, there was actually, I want to say there was two, but one of them was like, how can you guys gain my vulnerability? And granted, it wasn't you guys asking me that. It was, I just so happened to pull that question from the game, but it's something that I have to realize. The more that I do this, the more vulnerable I have to be, because that's why you guys are here. You guys are here for honest, candid conversation. And that's how I want it to stay. It's something that's really important to me. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first thing I want to cover with you guys is being selfish with your time and your energy. Now, regarding being selfish with your time, I feel like over the last few months, I haven't necessarily been super selfish with my time or my energy. The energy side, I've been, depending on who it's with and what the situation is, I'm able to sort of pull back and like put everything where I need to put it and take away where it doesn't need to be. So prime example, especially now, if I don't want to be around somebody, If I don't fuck with somebody, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to make an excuse for it. I'm also not going to probably turn around. Let's say it's like a friend of a friend. I'm not going to turn around and be like, yo, I don't fuck with so-and-so. That's why I'm not going to be there. If they ask me, of course, I'll say it. I don't have a problem saying it. But the biggest thing is me just simply removing myself from that situation where it's like, hey, Rob, why don't you come kick it? So-and-so is going to be here. You know what, man? I got some stuff going on. And granted, majority of the time I do. So I'll remove myself right away. Because then what happens, right? Let's say I go kick it with these people. Person A, my homie, totally good. Person B, I don't really fuck with. There's something about them. Maybe they didn't do anything to me personally. Maybe we haven't had any sort of run-ins or anything like that, disagreements. But there's just something about them that I don't vibe with. And as I've gotten older, I realize how precious your time is. And a lot of the times your time and your energy will sort of run parallel. So before I would sort of like veer off on one path for one thing. So let's say my time, I'd make it go this way. My energy, I'd make it go another way. But I have to run them together, because when you run them together and they can stay that way, it can be really smooth and it brings you a lot of perspective. So I've been very, very aware of where I'm putting that, who I'm hanging out with, what I'm doing. And also something that I've been very aware of too, I guess a little more hyper aware now, is just the people who are willing to put their time and their energy into me. Because for myself, I would like to consider myself a pretty selfless person. I'll put other people before myself, especially their happiness, because I would rather other people be happy than myself. And if that means sacrificing my time, my energy, anything like that, I will probably do it. But I realized how dangerous that is, because a lot more, I guess in the recent times, I've been noticing I get depleted super, super quick. Super, super quick. And that's both with like family, friends, either way. So I need to pay attention to which relationships are not just taking, because that's also really important too, right? Like some relationships that you have, whether it be a relationship, a friendship, family, anything like that, some people will be, or some people are takers and some people are givers. The thing is, you need a balance of the two. And I always think that there is a balance of the two. I think for people to turn around and be like, oh, everyone gives and take. We do give and take. Everyone does give and take. Don't get me wrong. But there are some people who are a lot heavier on the take side. And they sort of know who to go after, because they know that they can get something from certain people. And I've tried to do my absolute best to be aware of who that is in my life, or come across people who I can feel are more so takers than givers. Not that I want people to just give to me, but the thing is, I want to feel equally as important as you are in my life, right? Like I want you to feel appreciated, but I also want you to appreciate me, right? So I think it's really important. Again, a lot of us forget that, especially for those of us who are givers. So me trying to navigate my relationships with my family, my friends, professional, all of that with this entire subject has been a trip, because I notice that I'm saying no to certain things a lot more than I used to. Because before, if somebody was to ask me anything, let's say professionally or from a design standpoint, if somebody was to ask me, hey, Rob, can you do a logo for me? Hey, Rob, can you do a flyer for me? Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? I would always say yes. Always. 10 out of 10. Didn't matter what the fuck was going on. I would say yes. And that was such a bad thing. Such a bad thing. Because regardless of the money, sometimes you have to know when to say no. And it's hard. It's really, really hard, especially for somebody like myself who's always said yes. Now having to say no is way, way different. So like I practiced it the other day and I was really proud of myself and I'm hoping to continue to do that. And that was just strictly like a time thing. And I guess you can say partially it is energy, right? Because I do have to invest a certain amount of something into it. But just sort of learning that entire process, being more gentle with myself, more self-aware and saying, hey, what is this bringing you? Is it worth your time? Is it worth your energy? Where are you? Okay, cool. Either nix it or keep it in the bag. And like another example too. This is, I guess, more a positive example. So last Friday was a trip. I sort of, the weekend in general, I would say emotionally was sort of a roller coaster. So I'm doing my best to recover even today, Wednesday. I'm doing my absolute best to kind of recover from that because I feel like I still am recovering. But on Friday, I was kind of going through it. It's a little bit of a mess. And I felt super depleted. I was done. I wanted to shut down. I was over it. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to just chill out, watch some TV, call it a day. Whatever happens, and fuck it. So randomly out of nowhere, my buddy Jay hits me up and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, chilling, man, doing a whole lot of nothing. Gone to go run some errands and I'm done. I'm going to just kick back. He's like, nah, me, you, Sabrina's little brother and Sabrina's boss. So I feel like I have to paint the whole picture. They're like, dude, come watch Mario with us. And not that I didn't have any intentions on watching the movie because I was curious about it. But it was so random, so out of the blue. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's roll. Whatever. You tell me the time. I'll be there. We'll make it happen. Doing that trip to go to the movies, to kick it with these people was the best thing I could have done for my time, my energy, my heart, my mind, my soul, everything. Because once I got there, I was like stressed out looking for parking, right? And I was like, oh shit. As soon as I saw them, like I'm waiting in the line to check in. There's a line of people just to get into the theater. I open up the code, I'm chilling. And then I see Jay and Sabrina in the distance. The moment that I saw them, I started to feel like my tank was starting to fill. And it just felt good. And we were already smiling, laughing. And this was from a distance. I hadn't even got to them yet. When I actually did, gave everybody a hug and said, what's up? Like it felt so good. And it was one of those things like instantaneously, I knew that's what I needed. And it's crazy how sometimes you think everything's going to go one way, but the universe is like, hey, like don't trip. We got you. So somehow that call came in and it worked out. Tanks were full. The movie was fucking great. Those of you who haven't seen the Super Mario movie, go watch it. Just go watch it. It's fucking great. The entire movie. It's so, so good. I think the way that they did it, like, yeah, it's cool for kids, but I feel like it's more so for my generation and like the gens slightly after it who were able to kind of take in Mario for what it was, especially back in the day. But for those of us who know the story and kind of have an idea of it and the humor and all that, it's definitely geared for us. So I fucking loved it. I don't remember laughing so much in a movie in a very long time, but I think it's just like a continuously good thing throughout the film. So overall, I don't want us to turn into like a fucking movie review, but again, go watch the movie. It's fucking rad. And I'm beyond thankful to have experienced that. And it's moments like that that remind me to be selfish with my time and energy. And I know even as I say that, some of you guys are like, well, how are you being selfish with it if you're with other people? The reason why and how I'm being selfish with that is that I'm choosing exactly where it has to go. Because at the same time, think about it. I had the option to just stay home, be sad as fuck, super in my feels, just watch TV, whatever, eat some fast food or whatever, and just go to sleep. I could have easily put my time and my energy towards that, but I had the option. And that option is exactly what I needed. So this is just a couple examples and something, again, that I really wanted to talk to you guys about, because I feel like even though the subject does get talked about a lot, I feel like it constantly needs to be spoken about, because we forget. Our daily lives kind of get in the way. You start to get wrapped up in shit. All of a sudden you're saying yes to everything. And then before you know it, you're way overdrawn. And with ourselves personally, especially when you're overdrawn, what do? You want to shut down. You feel like shit. Feel super tired. Sometimes you feel it mentally, physically, emotionally. You can feel it in a bunch of different ways. And for a lot of us, we can compare and contrast, right? Like I have certain friends that feel it more physically. I have other friends that feel it a lot more mentally, a lot more emotionally. And comparing and contrasting with all these people and different friends like that, when we talk about this subject, it's very interesting. And I guess just the common denominator is, to me, it boils down to these two things. And all of those things, the way that everybody feels. So whether it's like physically ill, emotionally, mentally drained, anything like that, the two things that boil down to it are your time and your energy. Because if all of those people who are feeling these things shifted where they put their time and their energy, that shit would go away. It would simply go away, right? Because again, the decision that I made on Friday, I was conscious of that. I caught it. And I was like, this is where I need to put my time and my energy, into these people who I love, who I care, who give me what I need, right? Because it's a lot of give and take with that. But especially with these people, I care about them so much and I feel the love when I'm with them. And that's what I needed that day. That's exactly what the fuck I needed. So why would I not give that to myself? Not giving that to myself would have just been dumb. It's like the dumbest shit I could have done. What is being here, being sad gonna do? And feeling all depressed and shit. It's gonna fuck me up. It's gonna make shit worse. And then what happens? Rolls into the next day. And then who knows if I'm gonna feel better than that, like the next day. And then it rolls into the next day. And then here I am on Sunday, still feeling sad as shit. It doesn't make sense, right? So again, be selfish with your time and your energy. Be very aware of where you're putting it, and also who you're putting it into, right? Again, another prime example, I guess before we close that part out, you have certain relationships. Let's say you're trying to make plans with your friends, right? You're always making plans. You're always doing stuff. If things keep falling through, it's all good. Shit happens. Sometimes life happens and all that. But pay attention to it at the same time. Because what you don't want to do is invest time and energy into people who don't want to invest it into you or could care less about putting it into you as well. So be careful with shit like that. Because again, you never know people's intentions. And granted, sometimes life gets in the way. It does get really tough. People get busy. Shit goes down. It doesn't mean that people don't care. But again, be aware of it. Because for a lot of you listening, I bet if you sat there for a second, even if you just started, like after you heard and or watched this episode, start being hyper aware of your time and your energy. Who, what, when, where, all those things, and where you're putting it, who you're putting it into, and see if it's worth it. Look at it. Because I guarantee you, if you really look at the shit that you're putting your time and your energy into and people, you're probably going to realize that some of those things or people are not even fucking worth it. And next thing you know, when you start examining how you feel around them, how you feel when you leave after you hang out with them, how you feel when they're around in general. And you're like, damn, dude, maybe I really don't feel so great when they're around. Or maybe I don't feel so great around this person. Or man, maybe every time I come to this place, I don't feel so good. Or I leave feeling super worn out. Then there you go. That's what I'm talking about. So it's becoming hyper aware of that stuff because it's going to help you now. It'll help you in the future. And then on top of that, you can always talk about this with other people and you can kind of spread that message and spread that awareness, because even though this seems very fucking simple, I feel like it gets overlooked time and time again. So hopefully you guys were able to take something from that. And I guess being able to take something, it's a good segue into the second one. And it's what I was talking to you guys, I guess the subject in the beginning, which was with something gained, something will be given. And what I mean by that is when you gain things in your life, no matter what you want to do, you're going to have to sacrifice something. So you will give something up to get something every single time. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is. So a really easy one that a lot of you will, I guess, kind of sit with is for like school. You go to college. Granted, you're going to gain a degree. that's great in whatever it is that you're doing, or some sort of certificate, anything like that, some sort of schooling that you're going to go to. You're going to gain that piece of paper, and it's probably going to take you far. It'll probably help you get you exactly where you want to go, where you need to go. But something's going to have to be given. And granted, it's not just money, but this kind of goes back to even the first thing, right? Which is your time and your energy, because that's what you're giving. You're not just paying to go to this place. You have to physically be there. You're going to be sacrificing, for example, if you would be working, you might not be working as much because you're going to be in school. And then at this point, because of that, especially with homework and studying and things like that, you might not be going out as much. You might not be seeing the homies as much. So with gaining this one thing, that is great. And so a lot of things require sacrifice in life, but you're going to be giving up something. And then I see, and I feel like this goes back to the first one. So it's like, you have to see if it's worth it. Is it worth it? Is all of this worth your time? Is it worth your energy? Is it worth the money? Is it worth all of it? Look at, like, pull back and see what's going on. And this also goes with friendships, with relationships, with something gained, something will be given. Every single time there's a trade-off with no matter what you do. And we tend, I feel like I'm not even going to say generationally, but I feel like people in general sort of forget that, right? Like, we don't look at the trade-off. You don't look at what you're giving. You just look at what you're gaining. And it fucks with a lot of people, because then sometimes you don't realize and you're like, oh, why don't I have this anymore? Or, oh, how come I don't have this anymore? Granted, let's say you get super involved in your career, right? Got a fat paycheck. You got your spot now. Fucking living the dream. But your homies aren't really around. Or certain people aren't really around as much. And you're like, damn, dude, like, what the fuck happened? Like, what's going on? A lot of the time that you sacrificed, maybe it was kicking it with certain people. Maybe it was hanging out, doing certain things. And the fact that you weren't doing it so much, maybe it severed that friendship. But again, this goes back to the first thing. That gives you an idea of your time and your energy. So the right people, especially for stuff like that, career-driven things, anything regarding your life, the people who really fuck with you will always stay with you. They're going to ride with you. Even if they know, hey, you can't be here all the time, I know you're there when I need you. And even aside from that, they're just going to walk next to you the entire path. Hey, we're here to support you. We're here to love you, give you what you need. So that can give you a little insight on, like, damn, dude, I was putting my time and energy into these people thinking they were really there for me. They were really going to fuck with me. And turns out, now that I'm here, now that I made it to where I want to go, I can't even share it with them because they think I didn't even fuck with them. But I did. I was just trying to do my own damn thing for a little while. I was trying to get it. But it happens. It happens. But again, with so much in life, there is a trade-off. And for myself, I've noticed, I've noticed a lot of shit. But one of the bigger things that I've noticed is this in general, because the things that I am gaining, I'm having to sacrifice other stuff for it. And I can get super deep with it. I can run wild with this, and I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm not really sure. But I know emotionally, I've been on a really big journey as of late, right? Which those of you who have been following me since episode 1, you kind of know what's been going on. But I say more so, like episode 6, 7-ish on, it's been very, very like forefront. So I've noticed that I've been having to give a lot in order to gain everything that I need right now. So I'm having to give my time, my energy, my love to myself, which I wasn't doing before. Putting time and energy and emotions and everything into my therapy, into my self-work. And what I'm gaining, even though that sort of sacrifice I wasn't doing before, like, I realized how worth it really is, because what I'm gaining now is this sort of hyper self-awareness that I didn't have, this new self-love that I'm still dealing with. I'm not going to say, oh, dude, I'm fucking great now, because I'm not, far from it. But I'm a lot better than I was compared to like when I started. And I've gained a slight sense of peace. And I feel like what I had to give up right now at this specific point in time, I feel like what I had to give up, it isn't matching up to that just yet, because I hated what I had to give up. And I guess what had to be sacrificed in that sense, you could say. But what slowly, the peace that I'm gaining is very different. Is very, very different. Very, 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 very different. Because I haven't felt that in a very, very long time. Like years. And again, it sucks. Because like I noticed, let's say even speaking on the whole peace subject, I gained a lot of it because certain relationships had to be given up. I didn't realize how important it was to do certain things like that. And whether it was with friends, family, relationships, anything like that. Like if I was having certain issues, I wasn't looking at it like this. I wasn't looking at it like I was having to pay with something. And I was. So what I'm gaining now, at least for the most part, the things that I'm gaining now are definitely worth what I'm having to sacrifice. And you can even look at this, right? Like let's talk about the podcast in general. I'm gaining so much from this. I honestly didn't think that I would, because I'm like, it's just a podcast, not a big fucking deal. But it is a big fucking deal. I'm gaining so much love, so much support. And I didn't think that I would, because you never think that you do, especially in a creative space. I think for a lot of creatives, we tend to sell ourselves short, kind of downplay everything. Well, some of us more than others, but again, and then what I'm having to give up for it, which is like my time, my energy, my love. But even then, I feel like what I'm giving up, what I like versus what I'm gaining, it's matching up. And that's what's so important to realize, is like the time, the sacrifice, all of it, it's adding up and things are working out. So this is a prime example of that. This is something gained for me. I'm gaining this sort of creative expression. I'm gaining this emotional expression. I'm gaining so much, the love, the support, all of it. And what I'm giving, like, it's okay. It works out. So for a lot of you, also think of that. Pull back for a second. Think about what in your life that you're gaining and what are you sacrificing for it. And also take a look at the people, other situations and things like that. And just be like, dude, what am I gaining from this? What am I gaining from this? Either from this relationship, from going to this place, being involved with this certain thing. Even, for example, being involved in cars, right? Like, what are you gaining from it? But also, what are you sacrificing from it? Or like, what are you sacrificing to get that? Because, again, we don't think about it. We forget about it. So take that shit into consideration, because I bet you, just like we talked about with the first thing, the shit that you don't think about, you don't realize how important it is until it's right there in front of you. And you're like, God damn, dude, I've been setting myself up this whole time. So if you guys can sort of change that up, run it, change it, see what happens. And also reach out to me. Let me know, either in the comments, shoot me a DM, something. Like, dude, I really started to think about this shit. I started to change this up, and all these things started to shift in life. And I'm not saying that, oh my God, this fucking episode is super revelatory, but even though these things sound really simple, a lot of people don't take them that heavy into consideration. But if you were to really sit down and think about it, you would realize how much these simple things would affect your life if you really put them into play, if you brought them, I guess, to the forefront of your mind. Because we tend to kind of keep it on the back burner. And this isn't something that should be on the back burner. This is something that should always be there. Every new thing, when you go through shit, put it right there in front of your mind. Like, dude, is this worth my time? Is it worth my energy? What am I going to gain from it? What am I going to sacrifice to have to get this? Put those questions in your mind. Make it a daily thing. Make it a weekly thing. Look at when something big happens. Look at the event that way. You meet somebody new. Look at it. And you're not trying to be a dick. again, remember, you got to be selfish with your time, selfish with your energy. Look at where you're putting it, because all of those things are eventually going to get you somewhere, right? Especially with what you're trying to do, wherever you're trying to go, who you're trying to meet, things like that. So remember this type of shit. And again, to see how this like segues into the next one, which is like the shift in belief in thought patterns. So for myself, I feel like all of that's kind of changed the way that I think, the way that I process information, and what I mean by belief, I guess a part of that is like the belief in myself, because not that I didn't believe in myself before. I always have believed in myself, especially after college, because college was fucking all over the place. It was all over the place. And from a creative standpoint, where I went, the biggest thing, the hardest part I'd say about the program is that it breaks you down mentally. Physically too, to a certain extent, but it breaks you down mentally, because everything that you do, everything that you did was emotionally charged, because you care about these projects. You're putting your heart and soul into them. And sometimes you'd go up, present shit, and it would get wrecked. You'd sit there and you're like, fuck, dude. I just spent 2 months on this project, 3 months on this project, and it just got fucking ripped to shreds. And my entire belief system in myself and my thought pattern started to change at that point, because I realized if I didn't believe in myself, if I didn't think in any sort of positive manner when I was there, that it would fuck me up for the rest of my life. And I knew that it would fuck me up for the rest of my life, because I knew where I was heading, which was on a creative path. And within this realm of being creative, you have to believe in what the fuck you're doing. Because if you don't believe in it, no one's going to give two shits about what you're doing. Nobody. And another thing too that I learned that kind of went in the same, I guess, lane as that, was the amount of like presentations that we had to do. And I always hated public speaking. And then I got to a certain point where it became second nature, because I did it so much. But I realized, because I would watch certain people talk about their projects, let's say, and they didn't have the confidence. You could tell it wasn't there. They didn't have any sort of fire. There was nothing to really watch, because I think as creatives, when you're in that sort of space, presenting work, doing something like that, you have to give the people the fire that they need. You need to make them believe in what you're talking about, because with doing so, if you believe in it and you sell that shit, however you need to sell it, people will be enamored by that. They'll sit there and be like, whoa, dude, that's sick. That brand is sick. Oh, dude, that shirt's badass. Oh, fuck, this entire like 3D rendering is insane. So you have to put that in, right? And I started to realize that as I was going through it, up until my last day, when I had my last presentation, which was my final presentation. It was a project that basically you work on as a senior and you spend a year on it. That's it. That's what you do. You start at the beginning, choose something, figure it out, and you run it the entire year. When I presented that, I had such a love and confidence for what I had done. By the time it was finished, like I don't fully remember everything, because it was kind of a blur. I was like super stressed out, but I do remember the end. And what was so tight is there was this level of confidence of myself being there at the podium and like presenting the video, and a confidence in my voice that was in the audio that was so like, I was putting you there. I made you feel it. I made you understand how much this project means and what it could mean if it was to come true and all of that. And I remember when the song came on at the very end, because I had like rolling ending credits, and it was a Rich Brian song, and the hype that just overcame the room was insane. Insane, because it kind of came out of nowhere. Everyone's projects they were fucking great. They like my graduating class like really fucking killed it that year, and everyone put so much time, so much love, so much energy into their projects. And it was like not very serious, but also very serious, because it's a big fucking deal, man. Like this is your final presentation. If you failed this or something went down, you weren't going to make it. But I had just that comic relief, that sort of like excitement at the end. It got everybody going. And I knew it. At that point in time, when that shit hit, as soon as the song dropped, the sound system in that room was fucking great. So it helped me, but everybody was hype. It felt so good, and I felt so good, and I knew it. At that point in time, I was like, this is where I have to be all the time. I have to start shifting how I feel, start shifting how I think. And so from that point, slowly throughout my life now, I've been shifting that. And it's fallen off a little bit as of recent, but I'm gaining it back. And I'm starting to believe in myself again and change up the way that I think and process and receive information, and also give out information too. Because even with something like this, not that I didn't think I was ever capable of doing it, but I had never thought about really sitting and doing something like this. And now that I'm in a different headspace, and that I've been in a different headspace, I'm able to give you guys something that you can share with me. And hopefully this information, you guys are taking it and you're running with it. Maybe you're talking to people about it. Maybe it's shifting the way you think. And maybe even this, after listening to this part, maybe it'll shift the way that you believe in yourself. Maybe it'll change up your thought pattern. Maybe you talk about it with your partner. Maybe it'll change the way you guys think with each other. Maybe the way you guys believe in each other. And the self-belief, I had lost it for a little while. And I can't even say fully where I found it or how I found it. But I think it's the fact that I'm slowly putting in the time and the energy and the love into, for example, this project. This is helping me to believe in myself. It really is. Because I'm sitting here, I'm in front of the camera. I got a mic going on. I'm talking about these really personal things. But I believe that what I'm doing is for a greater good. Like, it's fucking cool. I get to talk about shit that's affecting my life and what's going on and things that are sort of in my ecosystem, but also how you guys can relate to that and how you guys can come inside of that ecosystem and kind of be like, oh shit, that's what's up. Yo, I didn't realize that. Let me take this. Oh dude, this is sick too. Let me take that. So it's sort of doing something for a greater good. And that sort of overarching subject has given me a lot of self-worth, and it's made me feel, it's given me that sort of confidence. And again, not that I didn't have it before, but I kind of I got off track a little bit. And it's okay. It happens with all of us, right? Like sometimes you feel like you're good. And then all of a sudden you're not good, but it's part of life. You can't expect everything to just be fucking flatline, right? It's like, I don't remember how the saying goes, but it's like, in a sense, I would rather my life be like a heartbeat. So it's like up and down, up and down, up and down. Granted, sometimes it's a little higher, sometimes it's a little lower, but I'd rather it be that way than just to be flatline, because if it's flatline, you're dead. And for a little bit, I kind of felt like things were flatlining, and it was with everything in my life, like personally, in the relationship that I was in with my family, like things were just kind of flatlining. And the sad part with that is that I saw the progression downward. So it went from having these like really wild beats, and it started to slowly to simmer down. The beats were getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, to where certain things just started to flatline as a whole. And I realized how fucked up that was and how much it was affecting me, because I didn't for a very long time, until certain friends were telling me like, yo, you seem different. You seem like a lot more disconnected. Like you seem to almost not give a fuck. And it was a bad thing, right? Because before I was able to kind of catch it in myself, and I had gotten to a point where I couldn't tell that shit in my life was flatlining. And that's a problem. It's a major fucking problem because I had lost that sort of self-awareness. And then when I started, as of recent, doing the self-work, going to therapy, that's helped me to change my thought process and my thought pattern a lot, because I have these tools now and I'm gaining more and more and more as I continue on this journey. But gaining those sorts of tools have been able to restore and heighten my self-awareness to the point where I know when things affect me and how they affect me, and also how to change that shit in my head. Like, I know I had mentioned to you guys that I was doing meditation, and the meditation's great. It helps a lot. But one of the big things that I've learned from there is the thought manipulation, which, again, some of you have been listening right now, which if this is the first time you're hearing about it, the thought manipulation is the wildest thing to have as a tool, because I don't have to be meditating in order to use that tool now. And that's the strongest shit that I've ever gained through this process, especially from meditation, is when I get a negative thought or I feel something like that, the fact that I can stop it, I can recognize what exactly that is and stop it. And also recognize that it's only a thought. None of it's real. And that's a big one. And it's getting talked about more and more and more, right? Like the idea of thought manipulation, because the shit that's in our head, you guys, it's not real. It's not fucking real. None of it is real. When you think a certain thing, it makes you feel an emotion, right? And it registers as being real. You could have made up a scenario immediately in your head. All of a sudden you feel like you're going to die. You're like, oh, this is fucking horrible. You start crying. However, that was a scenario that you just made up. It's not happening. It didn't happen. It's not going to happen. And having that sort of sense of power gained is nuts. It really is nuts, because again, I find myself in these situations where I get super dark, super down on myself. And I start to run through scenarios, what ifs, things like, I literally will paint out a scenario, like seeing some shit, and it will fuck me up. It will fuck me up because I feel as if it was real. The emotions that I'm feeling are registering as real as if it happened, and it didn't. None of this shit happened. And I don't know if it's going to, but it probably is not going to fucking happen, dude. So being able to shift that pattern rather than spiraling on this whole trip down, not even memory lane, but trip down like this faux memory lane where everything's foggy, none of it's real, has helped me a ton, because now I can process shit for what it is and get past it and feel a different way. And man, like, I paused for a second because there's a certain thing that I could talk about, and I kind of want to talk about it, but I also kind of don't want to talk about it. But like, you can say, like, I know for a lot of you, this will stand place or like stand up for like a relationship. You'll go back, you'll think about shit, the what ifs, the should haves, the could haves, but it's not going to happen. And a lot of those things, even the new scenarios that you'll run in your head, are not going to happen. This is just shit that you're just making up, and you're hurting yourself. You're fucking hurting yourself, dude. And you can't do it. You can't fucking do it. You can't let intrusive shit like that win, because when you do that, you're giving into like this false reality, and you're making this up in your head, this false reality that's super negative, that's putting this like really jacked up filter over your life. And that's not what it is. You can remove that filter just as fast as you put it on. And with training yourself and going through the processes of learning to do shit like this, I promise you guys, I fucking promise you guys, it will help you. Because for myself, I never thought about doing anything like that, and I unintentionally jumped into it. It's the best thing I've ever done. And I'm not saying I'm some like master guru at this shit. I'm not going to sit there with some fucking peyote and walk you through your goddamn life. But I do feel like for at least this conversation and talking about stuff like this, like I'm able to give people advice and at least like, hey, you know what? Try walking down this path and see what's up. Because I don't know if you've ever heard about this or I don't know if you've thought about it, but check it out because it might help you out. Because being at a crossroads, it made me realize those things. And granted, I could have gone down the other path too, but I didn't. I knew exactly which path I needed to go through. I listened to my gut, and that's something y'all gotta listen to. Listen to your fucking gut. Like, do yourself the favor, listen to your gut. I never thought about it, but I was listening to this monk. He was talking about like life development, feelings and all these things. And something that he brought up, which was very fucking interesting, which I'm not sure if a lot of you guys know. And I don't think I've talked about it on the show just yet, but I'm about to talk about it. So y'all gonna know. Basically what he talks about is when you get that gut feeling, you sort of, whether you feel like something's wrong, you feel like everything's good, whatever, you get a feeling in your gut. And some of us ignore it, some of us take it. But the matter of the fact is, the gut feeling is the first thing that you should listen to. And I'm not saying it's the only thing you should listen to, but you got to take it into consideration. Because, according to this monk, when we are developing, when we're babies, when you're in the womb, one of the first things that gets developed is your gut. And because of that, you feel certain things, you understand certain things, even outside of, for example, if you think about it a certain way, your gut will feel completely different. And there's a reason for that. The gut development comes first in the process of before anything else in your body. And once I heard that, I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Because for myself, I've always had that sort of feeling with certain things. I never understood, like, why is it that I feel this way? Like, why is it that I know I need to do this, but I feel like I have to do this? And for the most part, throughout my life, every time that I've gone with my gut feeling, it's what turned out. Even if it might not have been beneficial at the time, like if it hurt, if it fucked me up, at some point, I was going to walk and be like, damn, dude, like, I'm so fucking glad I listened to my gut. And I went with that sort of feeling. I went outside of emotion. I went outside of my heart, my mind. I went outside of all of that. And it was simply what my body was telling me to do. Because ultimately, every single time, we know what we have to do. It's just whether we want to do it or not. So that's something to remember. And I hope that through listening to this little piece on the shift in belief and how I've been able to kind of change that and regain it. And I'm still working on it. I'm not saying, again, to you guys that I'm like, oh, dude, I'm fucking great. I've changed my entire fucking life, because I haven't. I'm far from that. But I can tell you with confidence that doing certain things, listening to certain people talk, taking certain things into consideration, doing the right work has set me up a certain way that I do feel like I'm making that process, because my thoughts are changing. The way I believe in myself is changing. The way I believe in what I'm doing is changing. And gaining that sort of self-awareness and love is crazy. And I would love for you guys to experience that too. And if you do, even like, let's say after you listen to this, if you start implementing some of these things into your life and you start seeking out some of this shit, and later down the road, something happens, something works out, reach out. Let me know, because I would love that shit. I would love for somebody to turn around and be like, dude, you know what? I never thought about it like that. I started changing up the way I think. I started looking at certain things, listening to certain people, doing certain things for myself, and it shifted up my entire shit. Everything, the way I do life. It changed everything. And I would love for that. I would love to hear you guys on some shit like that. So let me know. keep me updated on your progress. Let me know what's going on. If you want to try doing this type of shit, I can reference certain things. I can give you guys certain videos, certain topics, podcasts, things like that. I can send that stuff to you guys. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Do not hesitate to reach out. That's what this is all about. Again, remember, it's a conversation between friends. It's about me talking about my life, but also how those things can affect you guys. And if something that I'm doing right now can help you in some way, then I would love to fucking do that. Because this isn't just for me. This is for all of us. This is you guys giving your time, your energy to me. And the least that I can do is return that in the best way that I can, which is helping in some way. So reach out. Let me know. Because I want everybody to be all right. I want us all to be all right. That's the goal. To be able to wake up every single day, be happy, be thankful, and just kind of sit in this space where you're proud of yourself and you love yourself. That's what I want for you guys, because it's what I'm trying to build for myself. So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for sticking around. And I guess with not even closing that out, but kind of it sort of leads into, I guess, having that good feeling, having that sort of feel, creating this sort of space is like keeping it real with you guys. And that's something that as I'm growing and looking around with this social media, everything, right? I'm getting to sort of see how real people can be, how fake people can be, people who fake the funk, people who keep it real. You can kind of see all of that shit. And I'm noticing it a lot more. And the one thing that I get a lot from with you guys, and I'm very thankful that it's this way, and I hope to always keep it this way, is everyone's favorite thing is how raw this is and how real it is. And for those of you who I get to see either on a weekly basis or every couple weeks or anything like that, the way that I am with you guys on this podcast is exactly how I am out in the real world. There's no difference. There's no fucking difference. And I don't want there to be a difference. That shit always bugs me. Like, why is it that you feel you have to be somebody different online versus somebody different in person? It's one thing if you put out a certain aesthetic, you put out a certain look and feel, and you know what I mean? But you don't have to fit that. You don't have to fucking fit that. It doesn't have to be that type of thing. It's the same thing like with the previous episode 10, right? Where it was, I know there was a question in there that said something along the lines of like, what do people think of you or something like that when they first meet you or something along those lines. And again, if you were just to look at my Instagram, yes, it puts off a certain vibe. It puts off a certain thing. But this is me. This is the person that I am. And it is what it is. I don't intend on fucking changing that. I don't intend on making this sort of, for example, now that this is on YouTube, I can say it. I don't plan on making this sort of like YouTube personality where I'm like, hey, what's up, you guys? Fucking da-da-da-da, this, that, and the third. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, da-da-da, blah, whatever. I don't have time for that shit. I don't have time for that. That's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what this is about. You guys aren't here for that. You guys are here for real shit, real conversation with a homie. Again, for a lot of you guys that I'm friends with, I'm talking to y'all. Y'all know what it is. It's the people that I call out constantly on here, and it's conversations with you guys. And those of you who I don't know, I'm getting to know you right now, and y'all are getting to know me. Well, I guess I'm not really getting to know you, right? But it's more so you're getting to know me. And I hope that for those of you who I don't know personally yet, but you're listening and or now watching this, that it gives you the confidence to come say what's up. If you see me out like at a car event, or if I'm somewhere, if I'm at like a gallery or something like that, there's some sort of photography show that I'm out that I post, come through and say what's up. Like there's no reason why you can't. And keeping it as real as possible on this is the most important thing, and will always come first before anything else. Before anything else. I never wanted this to be like scripted. I never wanted it to be a certain way. The only thing I guess that you can say is slightly scripted is like the points that I talk about. But aside from that, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know if I'm going to start coughing and sneezing and fall over in this chair. Like, I don't know. But this is what I love, and this is what I wanted it to be. And when I see people who fake the funk, it's like, it makes me sad. It makes me really fucking sad, because I'm like, yo, if you were fucking cool, I bet you people would fuck with you. Like, I can almost feel that that's not the real you. And I'm not going to call out people. So I don't want y'all thinking this is about to get crazy. And I'm going to start calling people out on that bullshit, because I'm not. I promise. I had to take a sip of water there. But, and I could, goddammit. But I'm not going to, because that's crazy and that's not what this shit is. It's going to turn into fucking Wendy Williams, and nobody has time for that shit. But, like, I'll give you an example of who I feel like also keeps it real. I feel like in the YouTube space specifically, I feel like Eot keeps it super real. He's a car guy, super fucking rad, creates really amazing content in the sense of we get to see shit that we wouldn't normally see. And the way he talks about it, the way he navigates it with his wife and his kids, it's sick. And it feels like he has this very one-to-one connection with everybody. And he's one of the only people that I follow like religiously. Like, he'll release a video and I'm watching it right away. But I love how real he is. I love how raw he is with everything. It's just kind of like, this is my life. This is what the fuck I'm doing. And granted, I know there's other YouTubers who do that and sort of make it seem like that. But we do have, like, we have mutual friends. And from the people that I know that he hangs out with when he is here, because he's in Japan right now, those people are super raw and super real. And I fuck with them because of that. So getting to see this guy in this sort of space is wild, and it's super fucking sick. And I've never personally met him. I would love to meet the guy. I'd love to talk to him and just kind of get to know him as a person. But I feel as if I already know a portion of him, and it's fucking cool. And it's because of sort of creating this space, creating this realness, this openness, this raw, uncut feel. And that's how I feel like it needs to be, because there's so much bullshit on Instagram. There's so much bullshit. And even before I run into that whole thing, if you guys want to check out his Instagram, it's E_OUGHT. Again, that's E_OUGHT. His name is Joshua Behrens. So him and his brother run what's called Behrens Garage, and they sell cars. They import and sell cars, and they modify cars, do this whole thing. They're really fucking rad. So go check them out. And for those of you guys, I guess, who are here on YouTube, I can show you his page. So let's see. That's his IG. For those of you guys who are listening right now, just type in that @ or his like handle in Instagram, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But he's really fucking rad. And getting into the whole bullshit that you see on Instagram, like, it bugs me, man. I don't like it. People who lie about shit on Instagram, people who lie about other people. Like, it's crazy. Why would you do that? Because at the end of the day, when you create that sort of, that space for yourself, you're always going to have a sort of image with certain people. And especially when it comes to like talking shit about people, lying about people online, the person, for example, who knows the truth is going to see that. At some point, somebody will see that who knows the truth and be like, hey, you know what? That's really not how that shit went down. Or that's really not how this was. It didn't happen like that. So that's a dangerous place to be in, because it shows who you really are, dude. It shows your fucking character. It shows that you're really on some scumbag shit and you don't give a fuck, and you're down to create this sort of filter on your life, create this lie and believe it. And again, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you fake the funk to make yourself seem like you're a certain way, but you're not? Like, I know people, both men and women, but I do know a lot more. I'm not going to say I know a lot more, but man, it's tough to even say. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to say it without getting too crazy. But I know both men and women who create this sort of shit and fake the funk really, really heavy. I'm like, yo, you paint yourself to make it seem like you're fucking cool, you're fucking this, that, oh, I'm all fucking like this. And you're not that person. I'm like, dude, you're a fucking asshole. Like, you're a complete dickhead. You don't know how to be with people. You don't know how to say what's up. You don't know how to act. You have no fucking manners. And that type of shit infuriates me. It blows my fucking mind. Because I'm like, little do they know. It's almost like dating. I feel like social media has like a very, very strong parallel with dating, right? Because you put your best foot forward and you, this like this. Like chivalry ain't dead. You know, you go, you get doors, you pay for the bill, you start doing all this shit. And then let's say you change up. You stop doing shit like that. You stop doing shit like that because that's not you. You put on a show, you put on a mask because you want to make it seem like you're this sort of way. And my issue is that people do the same thing with social media as they put on this mask, they put on this type of shit to make it seem, ooh, I'm like this, I'm like that. But you're not. You're 100% not. You're soft as fuck. Or you're a fucking asshole. Like, I know you. I know you. And especially, again, from the dating aspect, it's like, bro, be careful. Be careful with that shit because it'll bite you in the ass. Because you create this sort of false image and the person will always expect that shit from you. And when you start to stop doing that, it fucks everything up. Everything, whether it's friendships, relationships, all of it fucks it all up. Because all of a sudden, you went from being one thing that you painted up. You're like the fucking Sistine Chapel. And all of a sudden, you're like this fucking cardboard box that's on the side of the freeway. But really, that's who you are. You're a cardboard box, broken down, all fucked up on the side of the freeway. But you painted yourself up real quick. Somehow, some fucking how, you painted yourself up so you could look like the Sistine Chapel. So all of y'all, be aware of that shit. And again, this goes back to even the first thing I talked about. Be aware of where you put your time and your energy, because you might be thinking you're putting your time and your energy into the Sistine Chapel, and let alone it's a broke ass cardboard box all fucked up, nasty on the side of the freeway. That's really what it is. So I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say with you guys is I'm trying to keep it as real as fucking possible. And I don't want that shit to ever change. Ever. And I don't plan on changing that. That's what this is. You guys are here for a reason. It's to listen to me talk about shit, shoot the shit, to be raw about it, to be real. So that when you guys reach out to me, we can have this real conversation. And it's nothing dumb. I got nothing to fucking lie about. I got no reason to fake the funk. I got no fucking reason to do it. And at the same time, I feel like that creates a lot of bullshit. Because what's the last thing I needed for somebody to be like, hey, dude, what you said, that shit ain't right. Because I remember it like this. Like, ooh. See what I'm talking about? That's already an ugly situation. I don't fucking need that. And I have no reason to do that. So why would I create that sort of space? That's not what this is. This is about real, raw. It's about love. It's about emotion, especially because I talk about things like that, right? Like I talk about my emotions. I talk about love. I talk about all those sorts of feelings. And why would I insert any sort of lie, any sort of like falsehood into that shit? Because it just fucks it up. It ruins the validity of it. It literally completely throws everything out the window that I'm talking about. So I myself, I'm trying to create the space for you guys. I want you guys to feel safe too. Because then on top of that, what do? Somebody lies in a space like this, you don't feel comfortable anymore. You don't want to say shit. Because then you're like, oh man, this guy's a bozo, you know? And fuck all that. Fuck all of that shit. I don't have fucking time for it. I'm not here for it. I don't support it. I'm not about it. And again, I know a lot of people who are on that shit. A lot of people. And it's fucked up. Because again, I know who they are. Again, I'm not going to be out here calling people on some Wendy Williams shit. But I know certain people are out here faking the funk. And that's cool. But you can only hold up your Sistine Chapel for so long. So in a matter of time, that shit will crumble down. No fucking doubt. No fucking doubt. And that's going to be sad for them too. Because they think everything's good and they can hold up this sort of like act and this shit for so long. But it ain't going to work, baby. I promise you that. I fucking promise you that. Man. It's fucking crazy, dude. That shit's crazy. That shit's crazy. I feel like I can go on with that subject forever, but I really appreciate you guys for being around for this episode today, for kicking back with me. And something that I told you guys from the last episode, I want to close out with a piece of wisdom, something that you guys can take with you throughout the week, through the weekend. Kind of think about it, talk about it with your homies, go have a drink. Hey, you know what? I heard this. What do you think about it? Like something to create conversation and kind of keep the conversation going. And also maybe even something to start conversation with me if you guys are curious about it. So what I want to leave you guys with is something that I've kind of been talking about since the beginning of this episode. And I even talked about it a little bit in the last, but it's kind of had its peaks. Or like it's peaked in throughout this episode. And the piece is, if it cost you your peace, it's already too expensive. Again, if it cost you your peace, it's already too expensive. So if you're in a bad work situation and it wholeheartedly is costing you your peace, you're fully not okay with it. You wake up, you're fucking miserable. Maybe the money's all right. Maybe it's not so all right. Get your ass out of there. The fact that it's costing you your peace is fucked up. It's bad. Throw that shit out the window. I personally have been in that situation before. And the moment that I got out is the most beautiful thing in the world. The most beautiful thing in the world. Oh my God. The first job I ever quit. Man. Crazy. And the thing is, that was a couple years ago. And I'd never quit a job before. But this job was costing me every ounce of peace that I had. It was fucking with my health. Even my doctor was like, dude, you're going to fucking get a heart attack. I had to stop that. It was costing me that shit. As soon as I tossed it, got in my truck, I felt it immediately. I was like, whoa, dude, I felt like a wave of peace just hit me. And there's other shit that it applies to also, like as well. Friendships. If it's costing you your peace, it's too expensive. If you're always stressed out with this person, you feel a certain way. Same thing with a relationship. If it's costing you your peace, too expensive. Take a step back. Look at it as a whole. Being like, look, I'm putting my time, all my energy, all my this. I'm putting my feelings, my love, my effort. And it's not giving me anything. And things like that should bring you peace. They should give you peace. And if they don't, what are you doing? It's like being in a bad business deal. If it's costing you money, think about it from a business aspect, y'all. Like, if shit is costing you money, you're going to think about it. And you would take a step back and say, hey, you know what? This shit's costing me way too much. I got to fucking chill. I'm losing my ass on this fucking project. I got to step back. You would think about it like that with your money, but I guarantee you a lot of y'all don't think about it with your emotions and your peace and your feelings and your love. Think about it like that from now on. What the fuck is it costing you? And if it's costing you any of the shit that keeps you level, it's too expensive, baby. Get rid of that shit. Get rid of it. If it's with your relationship, talk to your person, sit them down. Hey, this is how these things are making me feel. Because I'm not saying, don't fucking quote me on this shit. I'm not saying to go over there, grab your partner. Hey, you know what? This type of shit ain't working. This type of shit ain't working. I'm fucking out. That's not what the fuck I'm saying to do. But, for example, if it is with your partner, then sit your partner down. Maybe go have dinner. Maybe after dinner, go have a drink or have a drink at your pad. Chill out. Hey, you know what? I want to talk to you about something. This type of things have been bothering me. The way that you say this, the way that you say that, the way you react when these types of things happen, they bother me. And it's really starting to affect me and how I feel. How can we fix that? For example, so you can fix those types of things. Certain things can be mended, even with the job. Depending on what the situation is that's stressing you out, if there's a disagreement with your boss, disagreement with a coworker, see what's up. But also look at it again. Step back, step far and say, hey, you know what? Is it worth it? So circling back again with the relationship, see what's up. See what's up. Because if it's costing you your peace, you got to take a step back. Because it's the best thing for you. It's the best thing for you. It's the best thing for the other person too. Again, friendship, relationship, professional work, like anything. Look at it. Look at it from afar. See what it's costing you. And is it worth it? Is it worth it to keep investing? Is it worth it to keep investing your time, your love, your energy, your money, all of it? Whatever it is, look at it and see what's up. But again, if it's costing you your peace, it's too expensive. So thank you guys so much for tuning into episode 11. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about it. You know, now you guys can comment. It's the same thing I said in the last episode, last video. I'm like, yo, you guys can now comment below. Let me know what you guys think, how you guys feel about it. DM me on Instagram, whether on my personal page, on the podcast page, however, hit me up. Let me know what's up. Let me know how you feel about it. I appreciate you guys, all your support, your love, everything. Thank you so much. And I will catch you guys in the next one for episode 12.